That constant noise coming from your toilet means that the tank is never getting filled. It means you've got a running toilet. It's wasting a lot of water, it's costing you a lot of money and a lot of sleep, but you don't have to live with it. You can skip that big plumber's bill and fix it yourself, even if you don't have any plumbing experience whatsoever. It's really simple. Worst case, it'll cost you a couple hours in time and $20 for materials. You'll only need 2 tools, a pliers and a screwdriver to fix any running toilet. First, you have to diagnose the problem. We did a little surgery on this tank to show you how. Let's start with the simplest problem first. Take a look at the overflow tube. If water's spilling over the top into the tube, the water level is set too high. The toilet never knows when it's full and never knows to shut off. How you adjust the water level depends on the type of fill valve you have. On a valve like this, most people bend the float arm up and down, but the adjustment screw makes it a lot easier and more precise. It'll take some trial and error and some test flushes to get the water level just right. But if you have a valve like this, there's always a screw somewhere near the top for adjusting the water level. The second thing to check is the flapper. If the flapper is bad, water is constantly leaking down into the bowl and the fill valve never stops trying to fill the tank. Look at the chain that leads to the flapper. If there's no slack in the chain, it may be holding the flapper open just a little bit and causing a leak. If that's the case, give it more slack by moving the hook up the chain a link or two. If the chain isn't the problem, press down on the flapper and listen for a few seconds. If the toilet stops running, you know the flapper is shot and it needs to be replaced. To remove a bad flapper, just slip it off or unsnap it, then take it with you to the home center to make sure you get a perfect match. Replace the new one the same way you took off the old one. Now, if you didn't find any problems with the water level or the flapper, the fill valve has to be the problem. Now, it is possible to repair a fill valve, but that's usually a bigger headache than replacing it. And a new valve costs less than 15 bucks. On 99% of toilets, fill valves are interchangeable, so you can almost always replace an old valve like this with a newer style. Now, in real life, this tank is still full of water, so before you change the fill valve, shut off the water supply at the wall and then flush the toilet. That'll get rid of most of the water, but there's still going to be an inch or so at the bottom, so use a bucket to catch that when you disconnect the water supply on the underside of the toilet. Then unscrew the nut on the other side of the toilet that holds the fill valve in place. Pull out the old valve and reverse your steps to install the new valve. Installing the new valve is as easy as doing all those removal steps in reverse. But here's the bad news. You'll have to read the directions to set up the new valve for your particular toilet. And after everything's back together, you'll still need to set the water level. I guarantee you that one of these fixes will fix your running toilet. Plus, you'll save at least $100 over that house call from a plumber.